I've lived with type 1 diabetes for almost 38 years, and depending on your point of view, I might or might not have some diabetes complications. And it's a big issue for most of us. Will my diabetes give me complications? Whether we're veterans, whether we're new to diabetes, whether we have existing complications or not. And in fact, I think the concept of diabetes complications is a curious one. It has inherent blame involved. Diabetes gets the blame for us having other health conditions. Blaming is so dangerous. We blame conditions, and it's really easy to blame ourselves for getting those conditions. Personally, I prefer to talk about health conditions and health complications and just avoid the blame game. Like most of us, I do have health issues alongside type 1, but most of them seem fairly coincidental to my diabetes. For example, the odds of developing celiac disease are increased if we have autoimmune conditions like type 1. But no one's tried to blame my celiac disease on my diabetes. It's just coincidental that it arrived 34 years later. And because I've been using DIY closed loop systems for years, these days my doctors describe my glucose levels as normoglycemic. Didn't used to be that way. Unfortunately, I had to seek out the tools to make this happen. And one of the things that I do in the community is I want to make as many other people as possible to let them have the sort of chances I've had. This is why, as well as helping coordinate peer support communities, I've ended up working on clinical trials of DIY artificial pancreas systems with new pump options. And hopefully there will be results of that in upcoming conferences. But anyway, armed with my Loop software, life's all great, right? Well, life is never that simple. I do have another health condition I haven't mentioned yet, which is heart disease. We hear enough times that diabetes can cause heart disease, and less than a year ago, I was diagnosed with partial blockages, up to 70% of some coronary arteries. But no one's tried to blame this on my diabetes. No one has told me that's a complication of your diabetes. And then I started wondering why. Is it that my current diabetes management is such that doctors don't instinctively make that association? It might have affected their perceptions. It's certainly affected my own attitude. Currently, I'm very lucky in that the heart disease is not impeding my life. When I thought it was going to, that was very confronting. But then I realized it wasn't a one-way path. I was already doing things to optimize my health. Diet, exercise, glucose management, medications, regular blood work monitoring. We did modify the treatments and monitoring slightly, of course, but these were all helping already. And they give me some focus. Having something to do about it certainly lifted my mood, and I do think I'm going to be around to annoy my family for a long time to come. In fact, my arteries are very rarely front of mind. I mostly just get on with life, knowing the things that I'm doing should be helping, and we'll see what state things are in next time I see the cardiologist. It's just one example, but it really made it obvious to me that having access to the tools and knowledge that make us feel like we have control over our health has a fundamental impact on our attitudes to everything associated with their health. For me, I feel that my diabetes is pretty much under control, and everything else in my life is therefore manageable as well. And it brings it back to things like the empowerment people get from tools such as looping. Everyone deserves access to as many of these tools as possible, and it's further inspiration for me to keep pushing it out there. Escaping the blame game is essential, and empowerment in our healthcare is key. And my parting thought on that was that diabetes itself is a huge health complication. We all have that complication, and how we get to deal with that can guide the way we deal with any further complications that come up. I'm open to further discussions in the upcoming days about how people are finding their diabetes healthcare is interacting with any additional health issues they have coming up. Thanks.